Was that worth it? All right, I'm sorry. I had to get it out of my system. I will not be telling dad jokes the entire time, but that was the 2024 Worth 400. I honestly thought, while there was some maybe, middle of the race kind of dull moments, I thought overall it was a pretty fun race. Denny, yes, beat your favorite driver, but I'm just gonna say it was fun. It's fun watching the 11 and the 5 duel each other. I get people will probably be upset about the aero blocking. That's been a thing in NASCAR for generations. I mean, that, especially at Dover. I mean, back even the Gen 4 era. I want to see out of 10, what did you think of this race? Between 10 being the best, 0 being the worst, or 1 being the worst. Let me know in the chat. Spam the number of what you thought of this race. We have the poll up in the community tab as well. And it's looking like it's kind of middle of the road. The first stage, I'll say this, the first stage was a lot of fun. There was a lot of passing. The tire wear was really helping the race be interesting. But after that, it kind of tapered off. We had a flare up towards the end of it being a little more fun, but it really couldn't hold a handle, the candle to that first stage overall. That's more my thinking of it. If it was the first stage, I'd say 8, but I'd probably say somewhere between a 5 and 7 out of 10 race. Kind of a little average, above average. There was interesting stuff that happened in this race. By the way, be sure to like the stream up. Let's get to 100 likes pretty soon here as everyone sort of files on in. And we'll read the super chats later on. But first off, let's just frankly look into the finishing order of this race, what happened today, and review the race. So we got the results up here. Of course, Denny Hamlin with the victory over Kyle Larson by 0.256 seconds. That is the margin of victory today. The race was 400 laps long, 3 hours, 20 minutes, and 57 seconds. 9 leaders of this race had 12 lead changes on the day, 5 caution flags in that time. Again, Denny winning right over Kyle Larson. Martin Truex Jr., third, only 2 spots away from having the second consecutive Dover Truex sweep. Then you got Kyle Busch in the 4th spot. Good run for him. He needed that kind of good run today. Chase Elliott in the 5th position. 6th, Noah Gragson. Another good run for Gragson today. Ryan Blaney in 7th. 8th, Alex Bowman. Daniel Hemrick, in a good turn of luck and strategy on his team's part, brings it home with a 9th place finish on the day. Ty Gibbs rounds it out in 10th. And interestingly enough, there was a battle for the 11th position between Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain. And initially they had Chastain finishing 11th. It actually was Tyler Reddick. By 3/1000ths of a second, he beat the one to the line who finished 12th. AJ Allmendinger comes home in the 13th position. Then Josh Berry, a solid 14th today. Austin Cindric, 15th. 16th, Joey Logano. Last car on the lead lap was Chris Buescher. Suarez in 18th and Chase Briscoe in 19th were a lap down today. 20th, 2 down, was John Hunter Nemechek. LaJoy and Hocevar, 21st to 22nd. LaJoy, 2 down. Hocevar, 3 down. Justin Haley, 23rd position, 3 laps down. 3 laps down, 24th for Zane Smith. Same for Corey Heim, 25th in his first Cup Series start. Harrison Burton, 26th on the day. Same for him. Austin Dillon, 27th, 4 laps down on the day. Jimmy Johnson, hang the banner. He got a top 30 today. Jimmy Johnson, 28th, 5 laps down on the day. After that, you got Kaz Grala, 29th, 6 down. Brad Keselowski, 30th after 2 incidents today and just a very slow car, 17 laps down. And final car in the lead lap, Todd Gilliland, 31st, 21 laps down. From there, everybody else was out. Bubba Wallace, 32nd. 33rd, William Byron. Christopher Bell, 34th. 35th, Ricky Stenhouse. 36th, Michael McDowell. And last on the day is Ryan Preece. So again, we'll have the finishing order up top here, post-race results up here. These, I believe, are the official results at this point. But overall, just kind of a normal Dover race, more or less. That's about the best way that I can put it. It felt like a normal Dover race that you see just about every year. Luckily, this year we got it all in on Sunday with a sunny day and a jam-packed crowd. A jam-packed crowd today. It's a lot of people saying it was the biggest crowd in about 8 years to a decade at Dover. I think it's proving that, if you have one concentrated date, you can bring more hype to those both in person and on TV. And I again really want to bring that out and say that, because Dover's had this, Texas has had this, Pocono has had this, and when you have less repeat dates, you can diversify the schedule and get out to new audiences like NASCAR wants. Instead of like the 2000s or even the late 90s where you really only went to like 20 tracks, you can go to 27 or 28 now and get out to different places. By the way, we're almost at 100 likes. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe also if you're new, and let's get on into it. Some early news today. Kevin Harvick will be driving the 5 in the All-Star Race practice and qualifying, while Kyle Larson is practicing for the Indy 500. So just a little bit of news on that one. And I don't know if he would be the first driver on the line, say if Larson can't get back for some travel reason. But interesting to see Harvick back in the car. If you're going to get anybody, that's probably who it would need to be. I know a lot of people, myself included, would probably want it to be Dale Jr. But I would take somebody like Harvick, who has been in the car competitively more recently and actually have been pretty good, made the playoffs in his last year. Dale Jr. drove this car like once or twice in testing leading up to the next gen. So I'm fully with Harvick being in it. I think it'd be foolish not to take him in the car, especially if he's offering to. And then Mike Joy referenced this, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I want to say early congratulations to Daniel Suarez taking his citizenship test tomorrow. So good luck on his part. I know that's probably going to be a pretty big deal, and I give credit to people going through that. That's pretty cool. As for the race itself, first off, like I said, stands were packed. Yeah, it turned 1 and 2. We can nitpick and be like, oh yeah, whatever. It's just there wasn't that many people there, but the main stands were packed. The infield access was packed as well. And overall, again, was probably the biggest Dover crowd since early Gen 4 era, or Gen 6 era, I should say, not Gen 4, Gen 6 era. I saw estimates between 50 and 60,000, which is pretty good. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, there's still less people than 2 dates. It's like, actually, towards the end, no. The Dover crowds were pathetic towards the end of the 2010s or so, before we went into the 2020s, COVID, all that stuff. Overall, it's been a win for them, and long-term, it can be a win when you build that date up. You make it a big deal. That track has to focus on that date, so love seeing that. But Kyle Busch started on pole, and the track was taking rubber immediately. Biggest stuff early on in stage 1 was Ryan Preece's car catching fire. There wasn't really too much, I would say, insight to that until later, once he got in the garage, and we found out it was basically the door foam just caught on fire, which is kind of weird that, once again, a Stewart-Haas car is the next gen catching fire. I mean, even back to, I believe, 2022 in the Southern 500 with Kevin Harvick, where the crappy ass parts origin comes into play, we had SHR catching on fire. But you could really see comers and goers early and evident in this race. We had, early on, Logano was up front briefly, as he briefly will be up front multiple times this year. But he was falling back. Kyle Busch's speed was going away on that 8 car, would come back later in the day. But guys like Noah Gragson were moving their way up towards the front. Guys like Kyle Larson were especially moving their way up. You saw that kind of comers and goers early on. And I think it's what made the early part of this race really intriguing. And you saw it really when Ryan Blaney on lap 34 passes Kyle Busch for the lead, only for a couple laps later, Todd Gilliland to spin and bring out a caution. Big thing happened there was the 43 of Corey Heim in his first start spun off the nose of Tyler Reddick. They restart. Blaney jumps off to the lead again, but it was William Byron who would chase him down and get the lead from him, only for him to get chased down by Martin Truex Jr., who would win the stage once Brad Keselowski ended it prematurely with a spin. Basically, that was the stage yellow. So it was Truex, Byron, Reddick, Blaney, Larson, the top 5 in stage 1. Then Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a very solid early part of this race, but because of troubles, unfortunately, was not able to finish where he was running. Now, I really want to bring this up. I saw in there a lot of people talking about the IndyCar race. I don't know if y'all saw it. I don't have the clip of it on me right now on OBS. But a mannequin fell on the track and then got beheaded, basically, by a car during the IndyCar race. Just saying, that's not something I was expecting. But pretty cool stuff. Pretty funny overall. That's just absolutely nuts. I want to know where, like, maybe this is something IndyCar wise I don't understand, but like, why was there a mannequin there to begin with? Like, is there like a lore that I don't know of, or again, I'll say this. If IndyCar would just stop running during NASCAR races or vice versa, I know me and probably a lot of NASCAR fans would go and watch IndyCar races. I want to watch IndyCar, but I'm a NASCAR fan first. And I heard the IndyCar race was really good today, but I'm not going to watch it over a NASCAR race. Yeah, by the way, we're like 60 subs away from 76K, so that's pretty cool. I don't expect to hit it today, but anyone doing their part, it always helps. Let's get to stage 2 here, though. We restart on lap 129. It's Truex and Byron beside each other. Truex gets it. And from there, you got behind him Hamlin and Larson side by side for several laps. Good racing on that part. And again, I will continue to say this. Hamlin versus Larson is the most interesting on-track rivalry in NASCAR today, consistently. They race really hard against each other. Sometimes they get into each other. They race for the win a lot. They're both championship caliber or winning drivers in Larson's case. It's very interesting. Plus, they're friends off the track, but they don't let that get in the way of just going for the win. I love to see it, especially going into Kansas next week, which I am fully expecting to be, if not a definitive winner of it, a very high contender for race of the year. The last 2 years, Kansas has been absolutely insane. It's been right up there with Charlotte for best race of the year. I cannot wait to see the race there. But for the most part, stage 2 was uneventful. We really didn't have too much happening outside of passing through the pack until about lap 183. Green flag pit stop start, and we have 2 big incidents, moments in this stage. First off, the 24 car fell off the jack and had a 24-second pit stop. This was basically the death knell for William Byron's day. There was no way he was going to be able to come back, even though there was the ability to pass and he had a good car compared to a lot of the guys he was around. He was just too far back with that lap traffic, with how spread out it got. And as we'll talk about in a bit, he never was able to recover and was back with the squirrels and got his nuts cracked, as Mike Joy was probably not able to say on a national broadcast. The other big thing with this was Corey LaJoie trying to stay out long and trap people a lap down. Did not work this time, but it did later, and we'll talk about that. Larson would get by him for the lead. And the only other thing that really happened in this stage is Brad Keselowski's really bad, no good day got worse. And that's why I believe he finished 17 laps down. Yeah, 17 laps down for bad Brad today. He's bad Brad because he just ran freaking awful. Larson wins the stage over an Alex Bowman who was surging in the middle of the race. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, Busch, Reddick, Blaney, Stenhouse, and Bubba Wallace top 10 in the stage. Denny would win the stage, cautions, race off pit road, take the lead, and would run away with it. I mean, he flew away on the lap 259 restart. They showed Truex had nose damage because of that restart. He got into Bowman on it. Nothing really came of it. But with 83 to go is where the race shifted in a big way. Green flag pit stops began. Martin Truex Jr. was the first onto pit road. Kyle Larson would pass Denny Hamlin in the pits. Had a great entry in, made up a ton of ground. Good pit stop, got by him. And it's looking like that might be the race for the win. Denny's starting to run him back down again, but Larson might be able to play the aero games. But from there, it gets interesting because there's a caution in the middle of this round of green flag pit stops with 79 to go. Barry and Stenhouse get together, and only, I believe, 8 were left on the lead lap. Noah Gragson was one of them. Daniel Hemrick, the leader, was one of them. That's what allowed him to get a top 10 finish on the day. And it really set up for what happened on the restart with 73 laps to go, where Denny would get by Kyle Larson. But the big part of the day is the crash that happened in the middle of the pack. Zane Smith, it was Zane Smith, not Alex Bowman, like Fox said like 4 times before correcting it. It was Zane Smith who lost his handling, didn't hold the line, whatever it might be. He drifts up, gets into Bubba Wallace, sending him down the track, and both William Byron and Christopher Bell are collected. Now, Bell has had a horrible run of races the last month and a half, give or take. Doesn't really matter because he has a win. I don't see us getting even over 12 winners by Darlington, let alone 16. So not too big a deal. Byron, been amazing this year. Not too big a deal. But for Bubba Wallace, I believe he was like plus 12 over the cut line coming in here. I know it's early on, but we're past Talladega. We only got one more super speedway race. So the cut line we're seeing now is the one we really need to pay attention to. He gets taken out. Again, bad luck on his part. I have not checked the points. I can check Twitter really quick and see if J-Ski has put it out there. But I highly doubt that he is in the top 16 at this point. And if he is, it's not by much because guys behind him like Kyle Busch had a good day. Logano didn't have a good day, but he finished he finished 16th. So he finished 16 spots ahead, probably made up about 12, 15 points, probably closer to 10 to 12. We're going to have to start watching this cutoff line. I know we're only 11 races in. I know we got 15 races until the playoffs start, but this cutoff line is really starting to shape. The only, I think, good bit of fortune for Bubba Wallace is Brad Keselowski ran so damn awful today. I mean, that car was ass with a capital A. I mean, it was just bad today. Other than that, though, I mean, it's been a rough 2 weeks or so for him, and it could get worse. It should get better. It should get better at Kansas. But I was at Kansas last year, and he had a fast car, and then bad luck struck. So I'm seeing people say, let's see, Bubba was 15th, but Bell and Suarez are behind him in points. Jeez, Bell fell. Funny rhyme there. That's insane how far Bell has fallen. If he doesn't get that win, he is in very rough shape. Anyway, we get our final restart with 62 laps to go. It's Denny versus Larson again. Hamlin is gone, flies out to about a second and a half lead, but with 23 to go, they start hitting really heavy lap traffic. Larson finds something on the top, and with 23 to go, he's a second back. With 20 to go, he's 7/10 back. Half a second with 16 to go. He's running him down 4/10 the next lap. 9 to go, he's a quarter second back. He's less than 2/10 back with 6 laps to go. Denny goes up, Arrow blocks. There's not really too much lap traffic for Larson to take advantage of. And make no mistake, the lap traffic is what really opened the door for Larson to get in there. Not discrediting him. He did what he had to do and was smart with it. But he needed more lap traffic to hold Denny up to make that a true race at the end. Denny just had enough to outlast him. Quarter second is the margin of victory, and we have an official race. By the way, with everybody on in here, NWP is this Wednesday on Danny B's channel. We have Brock Beard coming on. He'll be going to Kansas, so he'll be telling us all about that, and I cannot wait to talk to him about this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But that's it. That is the race at Dover, the 2024 Worth 400. Again, just I'd say a pretty decent Dover race. I'd say even a good Dover race. Dover overall, I think, has been much more competitive with this car. The car needs a lot of work still. But you know, we got to take it in the lens that we're looking at it with. And Dover, the last, you know, including this one now, last 3 years has been really fun with this car. Can be better. Always a room for improvement. But I definitely think we have seen that improvement. Let's get to a couple super chats here. I'm going to keep, again, I want to see, because a lot of people have filed on in here now. 10 being absolute race of the year, 1 being absolute worst of the year. Let me know what you thought about it. I see, of course, we have plenty of people who are having rational discussions in the chat. Let me know again. Spam the numbers in there. And I'll read a couple of these super chats and then let you get on with your day. It's still bright and shiny outside. We had an earlier start today, so I always like those. Closer we get to noon starts, the happier I get. Napa Racing fan for the 2. Hamlin's actions on pit road were detrimental to Hendrick Motorsports. Good one. Good Shepherd, thank you for the membership. Bobby Blair, thank you for the 5. Truex pit crew needs to go. Complete trash. Congrats to Denny. Good race. I fully expect Joe Gibbs Racing to make some moves with the pit crews. I do not see them, you know, if there's problems, them really waiting very long. I know Ty Gibbs got a top 10 today, but I do want to talk a bit about Joe Gibbs Racing today, and a little bit about Hendrick Motorsports as well. Hendrick gets 3 in the top 10, Larson in 2nd, Elliott in 5th, Bowman in 8th, and Gibbs has, of course, the winner and 3rd place finishers in Hamlin and Truex, and a top 10 for Ty Gibbs. But there's a clear and distinct gap for Joe Gibbs Racing between Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr., who I think right now are performing at a championship level. Again, Truex performed that way last year, so we can't really jump the gun too much. But we're also, you know, there's a huge gap in speed and performance the last month or two between them and Ty Gibbs and Christopher Bell. I don't know how you shore that up, but it definitely needs to be in the next couple weeks. All of these guys are firmly secured, whether a win or not, in the playoffs right now, so they have the room to experiment around. But it needs to be done. As for the Hendrick guys, you know, yeah, it was a bit of an off day for Byron. They made mistakes. That happens to championship level teams every now and then. If you go back in Jimmy Johnson's run, back before he became a sub 30th place driver into his late 40s, but when he was dominating, Jimmy Johnson was, you know, flat out having to make up at times for his bad pit crew. But I want to ask you guys this. Let's not have too much recency bias on it, but I believe we have 3, I'd say actually we have 4 distinct favorites. And I want to put a poll out there. Who do you think is the championship favorite? Do you think it is Larson? He's been consistently probably the fastest guy in the last, at this point now, 4 or 5 years, give or take. Do you think it's Denny Hamlin? Somebody who has been right up there with Larson over that time. Do you think it's Martin Truex Jr.? You know, he's gotten past the meltdown of last year. Or do you think it's the best driver so far in the next-gen era with William Byron? Poll starting now. By the way, You can stop spamming. I'm not changing the name of the stream, by the way, for the one asking. Let me know what you think. I mean, I think it's a very interesting conversation based on how they have run so far this year. SW, thank you for the 5. Once again, Bubba can't catch a break due to Zane Smith spinning him out, or at least that's what it looks like since Fox can't explain. From what it sounded like, both from those at the track and what Fox could explain, sounds like Zane Smith either got loose out of the corner or tight, one or the other, drifted up the track into the 23 and caused the wreck. Zane Smith this year, I mean, has been... He reminds me a lot of how Todd Gilliland was in his first stint in Cup, which was not good. He was basically the caution clock at that time. Rocks reviews and reactions, not reviews and racing. Rocks reviews and reactions. Thank you for the super chat. Hoping for a Truex 2-year sweep. So close, very close, but still good run from MTJ today. He needed to show that, that I think, in my opinion, that if not for just people believing in general of how good he is, just probably for that team in general, needed to have that kind of good run here, get that kind of camaraderie built up with the team. I like this comp here. Noah Coleman in the chat here. Zane reminds me of Gregson last year. I think that's a good comp as well, because I think Zane Smith has the talent to be a superstar in this series. But at this point, it's rough. He might have to either go back down for a couple years or a year. John Hunter Nemechek was the same way in his first stint in the Cup Series. He was definitely a caution clock. So, I don't want to write him off too early. I still firmly hold what I was saying last year about him. I think he is definitely the future of whatever team he ends up at, but he has been awful this year. There's no sugarcoating it. He has been just terrible. And as Cartoon Ringo Starr here says, I like that in the chat, Noah Gragson is doing so well this year compared to last year. I think Noah Gregson's going to win a race this year at some point. I mean, he was running, even before all of the pit strategy and stuff that shuffled it out. Noah Gragson was running top 15 to 10 during the day. Like off speed alone, not just strategy. He was able to hold his own against guys like Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, was able to hold off Blaney and Bowman. Gregson is way overperforming his equipment right now. I still think he's second fiddle to Briscoe. Briscoe overall this year has run better than him, but it's not by much. It's like 1A, 1B for them. And I'm interested to see as they go to some tracks that he's either run at so far this year or go to some tracks that, I think fit his skill set pretty well. I'm interested to see where he has that pop-off. SHR guys have a pop-off every year. We saw Priest last year. He had it with Martinsville. We've seen Briscoe have it with the Indy Road Course. I'm interested to see where Noah Gragson has his pop-off race, where he's just one of the 2 or 3 guys that's fastest during the day and one of them to beat. It's gonna happen. CBB in the chat here for the 5 here. At first, it was funny to hear Harvick bully Clint week to week, but now I feel bad because it just seems like an emotional abuse for his own sake. Yeah, that's like one of the only things with Harvick where it's like there's just sometimes I think he just needs to learn kind of the tact at that point. Alessandro in the chat. Jarrett, did you pick the driver for Random Driver of the Week segment? It better be a good one. I have narrowed it down to who I want. It definitely has to be a really good one with Brock Beard coming on. Because Brock, being such a racing historian, he's going to know. This is going to be the most challenging one for me to pick this year, which is saying something. Yeah, the word of the week is yeet. I hope they get rid of that segment after this year. I like it, but it's fun for now, but it grows old and it wears on you. Michael Kelly Gilliam, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. I didn't see who exactly was gifted them, but I'm sure they appreciate them. So I appreciate it for them on that seg. I know a lot of people are really pushing for Cale Gale. Maybe I'll just wait until people stop saying Cale Gale, and that's when I'll choose him for Random Driver. We'll see. And then Fred Dog, thank you for the 5. I'm concerned that Truex is repeating himself from 2 years ago. good runs close to winning, but doesn't, and might miss the playoffs with enough winners. I think, though, this year, the big difference is I don't think that there's going to be 16 or 17 or 15 winners. I don't see Truex also collapsing. I mean, let me double check what the points were heading in here. But Truex was plus 99 on the cut line heading in. And the next closest to him was Ryan Blaney, in which he was 42 points ahead of, nearly a full race, and he got more stage points and finished ahead of Ryan Blaney today. So he's at least a full race ahead of the next closest guy in points. I think Truex is safe already. Unless he has a meltdown the way Christopher Bell has, I do not see Truex falling that much. I mean, Truex would have to have probably 4 or 5 straight races to even be, within 20 points of the cut line. So I think we're good. But man, that was, again, I see there's some that weren't really happy about it. I'm not going to be at the Chicago Street Race. I'm just letting people know. I see in the chat, see you at the Chicago Street Race, Jarrett. By the way, name is Jarrett. I'll put it in the chat. How you spell my name. I know a lot of people sometimes spell it wrong. I'm not upset by it. I just figured I'd clear the air, but I won't be at Chicago. I am almost certainly going to be at Nashville. I'll be at Kansas in the fall, and then I'll probably sprinkle 1 or 2, maybe 3 more races in there. I'll let you know. But yeah, there, Spencer has my name in there. I mean, maybe I should just have everybody spam my name in the chat. Just, go from there. But I know for a fact I'll be at Kansas one way or another. I got the tickets renewed and everything, so I'll be at Kansas in the fall. So if you're there, be sure to say hi. Yeah, spam my name in the chat. Why the hell not? I'll send you train money. I'll be up that week. Yeah, I will be up in Illinois that week, but I will not be there that weekend. I got stuff down here I gotta do. All good. No, don't worry about it. All good. I just figured. I missed a super chat. Let me double check. I didn't see one. I got your super chat, Rocks, reviews, and reactions. Yeah, okay, yeah. And let people know, let people know what races you'll be to. Spam what races you're gonna be to this year, by the way. I'd like to see it. I do like to see what you'll be at this year, just see who's going where. It's fun to see kind of the trends of where it goes. So let me know. I'll start it out. I'll be at Kansas and Nashville. I'll even put it all caps. There you go. Oh, that sucks, Timmy. It's okay. And no, get out some. Ooh, we see Twin Spinner's gonna be in Iowa this week. I like that. Yeah, I didn't see a super chat fly in. I don't know if something's up. Phoenix, Atlanta, New Hampshire. Yeah, I'm interested to see if New Hampshire can have some good weather. Indy. Yeah, I might be at the Brickyard. I'll just let people know that right away. It's on my radar. I live less than 4 hours away if I drive fast enough. I'm letting you know in advance. I will probably I'm 50-50 on it right now. And I might even be live after that one. Maybe I'll get a rogue David Land at that one too. Yeah, I might be at the Brickyard. It depends, just because I have a marathon the very next week, so 13 weeks away. Yeah, we are 12 weeks away from the Brickyard coming back. I'm gonna end the poll, by the way. Let's see what we got here. Final results of the poll for your championship favorite. 37% of you say Denny Hamlin is the championship favorite. 30% of you say Kyle Larson. 28% of you say William Byron. And MTJ got 5% of the vote. Damn, man. Poor Truex. Yeah, that's right. 6 weeks till NBC. We are almost done. We are 2/3 the way through Fox. Spencer, also Jarrett, good luck tonight. Cubs versus Red Sox series tied at 1. Yeah, again, made the best team win. Red Sox were definitely the best team yesterday. I get he has no wins, but I mean, it's early in the season. I mean, Kyle Larson is 10-win season. I'm not saying that Truex will have 10 wins, but Kyle Larson is 10-win season. I believe only had like 1 or 2 by this point. So it's early. It's very early. But yeah, I think I think that's gonna cover it. Man, it's not even 5:30 down here. I might be able to enjoy some daylight. So thank you guys so much for coming in. We will be live next weekend after Trucks on Saturday night at Kansas and the Cup race. I swear I'm building this up way too much. I still think it's going to be a certified banger next week. Do not miss that race. Whatever you do, tell your friends, tell your family, everybody watch that race. We'll be live this Wednesday night on NWP, Danny B Talks channel, 8 p.m. Eastern time with Brock Beard as guest. Cannot wait for that as well. Pick points got a little closer. Denny was Danny's pick this week, so that's going to be a lot of fun to see maybe who has the lead back and forth. I mean, I got the Xfinity race right, but Danny got the Cup one right. So be sure to tune on in. Going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. You go enjoy your night. I don't want to hold up too much more, and I'll see you later. So have a good night.